Hello, you, the one listening not just with your ears, but with your heart. If you're an Aries or someone carrying the soul of a warrior who never backs down, then this message didn't find you by accident, because sometimes God doesn't speak through thunder, He whispers through silence. He doesn't always show up in grand events, but hides Himself in the smallest moments. A person leaves and you don't understand why. A relationship shifts, even though you did nothing wrong. You think you've been left behind, but maybe you're being led somewhere, not just to a different path, but to a different destiny. And if you're brave enough to stay with me until the very end, you'll come to see that what feels like loss today might just be divine protection tomorrow. So now, take a breath, sit with yourself, close your eyes, and listen. Because this isn't just another goodbye, it's a sacred realignment, one that your soul has been waiting for all along. If you're hearing this right now, you didn't just stumble upon it. This isn't just another video playing as you scroll through your screen. This is a meeting between you, a soul carrying questions the world can't quite answer, and a message sent from the deepest currents of the universe. A message written in a plan you may not fully understand yet. But one day you will. Aries, you've always been the initiator, the one who doesn't wait for destiny but builds it with your own hands. But this time, something feels different, and for once it didn't come from you. Something is shifting, a slow drifting apart. Someone slipping out of your orbit. It's not a full breakup, not quite a fight, but the connection isn't what it used to be. They don't call you like they used to. The conversations feel shallow, the looks misaligned, off rhythm, and you find yourself asking, did I do something wrong? Why does silence feel louder than ever? Should I be trying harder to hold on? But then, you wake up on one of those quiet mornings and your heart doesn't feel the same spark. You sit across from them, and even in their presence, your spirit feels alone. That right there is the whisper, the divine whisper, telling you what your eyes may not yet see. This distance isn't a mistake, it's sacred intervention. A hidden hand reaching in not to punish you, but to protect you from something your human eyes can't yet recognize. To many, separation feels like collapse. But to those walking a path of awakening, like you, separation is the opening of a doorway, a passage into deeper clarity, a new level of consciousness. You begin to see what once held you was also quietly holding you back. And not every bond, Aries, is meant to be held forever. The person drifting away from you may have already completed their purpose in your life. They might have walked with you through an important chapter, but that chapter has ended. Now you're stepping into something new, and not everyone is meant to follow, just like a gardener who lovingly prunes the branches, not to harm the tree, but to let it grow stronger, just like the sun, knowing its light doesn't need to touch every shadow, because some shadows don't deserve to live under your fire. You are Aries, a force of raw flame. You weren't born to shrink. You weren't meant to stay in spaces that dim your brilliance, just because someone helped you once, or walked beside you for a while. Right now, God is whispering into your life. Let me lead you. Let me gently remove what no longer serves your soul. And when you feel confused, don't fear, because this isn't an end. It's the beginning of something extraordinary. In the quiet, you'll start to notice the signs, a strange sense of relief, deeper sleep, breath that feels like it finally reaches your chest again. Aries, no one enjoys letting go, but the wise, they learn to listen when the universe says, it's time to release, not to lose, but to make space for what's truly meant to be. You'll start to feel it, that everything is unfolding not against you, but for you, quietly, tenderly, with precision only higher intelligence can orchestrate. You're not losing someone, you're being lifted by the hands of the divine, softly, silently, but with undeniable power. Take a look at the bonds you're holding onto. Are you still there because of love or just habit? Are you covering a wound because you're afraid of the emptiness underneath? And if those questions make your heart tighten just a little, then maybe, just maybe, you're hearing the very message your soul has been waiting for. You might ask, but why would someone as strong as Aries need to be protected from someone I once loved? The answer doesn't live in your mind, it lives in your heart. And together, we're about to go deeper into that truth. You are Aries, the initiator, the one who steps forward, the one who doesn't fear starting over from nothing. But there's something few people realize. Right beneath that fiery, bold exterior is a heart more vulnerable than anyone would ever guess. Not because you're weak, but because when you love with your whole strength. You love as if it's the last time you'll ever get to love. You give without holding back. You fight not just for yourself, but for the people you care about. And that loyalty, when not guided by wisdom, can quietly turn into chains. You hold on to connections that no longer breathe. Just because once they felt like home. You forgive once, then twice, then 10 times, until one day, you look in the mirror and no longer recognize who you've become. When did you start staying quiet just so they wouldn't get upset? When did you start brushing off your feelings to keep the peace? When did you begin trading your dreams, your energy, even your health, just to hold on to something that's no longer healthy? Because in the heart of Aries, love doesn't come in small slices. It arrives like a wave, full force, no filter, no fear. You tell yourself, if I just try a little harder, things will go back to how they were. If I can be more patient, more gentle, maybe I'm the only one who truly understands them. But ask yourself, what are you actually holding on to? Is it still love, or is it just your fear of losing, dressed up to look like love? And then comes a deeper question. Are you afraid of losing them? Or are you afraid of losing the version of yourself you were when you were with them? Sometimes, we don't hold on because of the person. We hold on to the feeling of who we were with them, a memory, an attachment, a promise that never took shape. But every journey has a destination, and even the brightest flame, if not given air, if not given space, will eventually go out. Your Aries, your fire wasn't meant to be caged. You need sky, you need freedom, you need to be loved, without having to dim your light to fit someone else's shadow. Real love is where you get to be fully you, not a place where you have to shrink yourself to fit in. If you feel like you've been slowly losing your joy, if it feels like you're the one always carrying the weight of the connection, if you're laughing less, breathing shallower, dreaming smaller, then maybe, just maybe, this isn't love anymore. It's a lesson waiting to be completed. Some relationships show up to walk you across a bridge, but the bridge was never meant to be your home. No matter how beautiful the view, what makes Aries powerful isn't just the strength to keep moving forward, it's also the courage to let go of what once felt like everything, and maybe, just maybe, because of that very courage, the universe is clearing the path for something greater, something you never dared to imagine. But your soul has always known. You were born to receive. Imagine this. You're standing in a room and it feels crowded, not because the room is small, but because it's filled with things you've held onto for too long. Old memories, pictures that once made you smile, books with yellowed pages that haven't been opened in years. They sit there, quiet, but they take up space. Space where something new could have entered. Life is just like that, Aries. Sometimes it's not that you're unworthy of something better. It's just that there's no space left for better to walk in. Some relationships, no matter how beautiful they once were, if they no longer match your soul's path, they become like keepsakes, to be thanked, cherished, and then gently released. A gardener doesn't prune a branch because they hate the tree. They do it because they love it, because they know if they leave the dead branch there, the whole tree stops growing. It's a compassionate cut, and that is exactly what the universe may be doing in your life right now. Whether you call it God, the universe, or Source, they're all trying to whisper the same message to you. Don't hold on to what has already fulfilled its role in your story. In Buddhist teachings, there's a truth. Impermanence is the foundation of freedom. When you let go, you're not losing. You're doing what your soul already knows. Attachment is the root of suffering, and freedom begins the moment you open your hands. But sometimes Aries confuses loyalty with holding on. You think, if I'm a good person, I don't leave people behind. If I really love them, I should endure. So you sacrifice your time, your sleep, your dreams, even your self-respect, just to hold on to something that's already cracked. And then you get tired. You wake up one day and you don't feel like yourself anymore. You start to wonder, is this still love, or is it just a routine? Are they still here because they truly care, or because they know I'll never be the one to let go. Aries, there are parts of you you've set aside just to keep this connection alive. There are dreams you've shelved, passions you've silenced, boundaries you've let them cross, all because you feared losing them. So ask yourself honestly, what part of me have I sacrificed to hold on to this relationship? And even more important, is what I'm holding on to actually holding me back? Because the truth is, some things need to leave, not because they're bad, but because they no longer align with who you're becoming. Letting go isn't failure. Letting go is wisdom. It's the universe gently saying, I need your hands empty so I can give you something greater. When you release the old, you don't just make room in your outer life. You open a whole new space, in your mind, in your heart, where something new can finally take root, and maybe, just maybe, that something new is already nearby. You just haven't seen it because your eyes have been fixed on the past. But once that space is truly made, what miracle might be waiting to fill it? What blessing is standing right outside the door, just waiting for you to open your heart? The answer always comes, right on time, the moment you're ready. No one ever said letting go was easy. It's not just a decision, it's a silence, a vast unfamiliar space you have to step into with an empty heart and trembling hands, believing that even if you don't know what's coming, something better, something deeper, something truer is already on its way. Aries, you're a pioneer. You've faced more storms than most and walked through them on your own 2 feet. You're strong, fearless, but even the strongest can feel afraid of emptiness. Not because you're weak, but because you're used to fighting, to holding on, to fixing what's broken. But surrender is a different kind of lesson, a quieter one, a deeper one, a lesson that requires the softest kind of courage, the kind that comes from within. Let me tell you a story about an Aries woman I once knew. She once loved someone deeply, a person who made her feel like she had found home. They had walked through so much life together, so many years, so many storms. But one day she started feeling suffocated, not because the other person was cruel, but because she no longer felt like herself. She smiled less. She dreamed smaller. She forgot what once made her soul catch fire. And then, the universe began to intervene. Small misunderstandings, long silences, conversations that no longer touched the heart. She tried to fix it, but the more she tried, the more she lost herself, until one evening, she sat alone on her balcony watching the sun disappear behind the rooftops, and she cried, not from sadness, but because in that moment she realized she wasn't afraid of losing him. She was afraid of losing the chance to return to herself. Aries, that empty space you feel. It's like the dark right after the light is turned off. You're not used to it, feels cold, but it's necessary for new light to enter. You're not losing someone, you're coming back to you, to the pure, powerful version of you that existed before you had to shrink yourself to be loved. And when that space is wide enough, when you finally stop holding on to what's no longer alive, new things begin to arrive, quietly, magically, new people, new chances, new stories where you don't have to dim your light to belong, but get to shine fully, freely, just like the fire you were born to carry. True love won't ask you to change in order to be accepted. It will see you exactly as you are and love you for it. Don't trade long-term freedom for short-term loneliness. Don't fear the empty room, because in that space, your soul will come alive again. If you are the flame, Aries, remember you need the wind to rise, not a cage to survive. Let what no longer belongs to you leave, and you will be amazed, because what's extraordinary always waits. Just behind the door you were brave enough to close, but then you might ask, how do I know this is divine timing and not just another goodbye? Because, Aries, there are signs the soul understands long before the mind does, and maybe you've already started to feel them. Sometimes, the most important things arrive in silence. No noise, no grand entrances, no announcements. They simply show up, like the first light of morning slipping through your window, like the soft fall of a single leaf, quiet, but somehow your heart still notices. The universe is the same way. When it begins to intervene in your life, it doesn't use thunder, it uses stillness. A different kind of silence, peaceful, but not empty, sad, but not hopeless. Have you ever gone through a breakup, And instead of feeling shattered, you felt healed. You cried, but the tears weren't bitter. They were freeing. There was a space, but inside that space lived a quiet kind of peace. That Aries is one of the earliest signs of divine intervention. It didn't come to destroy you. It came to free you from what you no longer needed to carry. In every journey I've walked with others, I've seen one universal truth. The soul always knows before the mind does, before they could explain it, before they had the words to say, "This relationship no longer serves me." Their bodies already knew. They felt tired around that person, restless sleep, a heaviness in the chest, tight shoulders. They laughed less, ate less, breathed less, and none of it was random. These are the signals your body sends from a level far beneath the surface. Have you felt it? That weight, that unspoken ache, that you're staying not out of love, but out of fear. Fear of loneliness, fear of hurting them, fear of being the selfish one. But in truth, you're resisting what the universe is trying to help you do. And then when you finally let go, you start noticing strange synchronicities. A song plays and the lyrics say exactly what you're feeling. An old friend texts you just to say, "I miss you." You dream of standing before a gate and the gate opens. You breathe deeper. You wake up feeling lighter. You walk in the sun and think, "Wow, the skies never looked this clear before." It's not your imagination. It's the language of the universe. It's how the bigger plan whispers to you. You chose right, keep going, I'm here. Your higher self, the seat of intuition, always knows before logic catches up. We live in bodies that feel, souls that know, hearts that sense when it's time to stay and when it's time to release. Aries, if you've ever walked away from someone and later thanked yourself for it, you're not alone. And if you're in the middle of that shift right now, know this, you are surrounded by light. You're not being abandoned, you're being called home. Have you ever had a goodbye that turned out to be your breakthrough? If so, share your story, because maybe, just maybe, your words could be the tiny lantern that lights someone else's path through the dark. And when you finally stop resisting, when you start moving with the current instead of against it, what will truly change in your life? What miracles are waiting to be activated? Once you finally let go, something strange begins to happen. When you stop resisting, when you no longer cling to what's already slipping away, when you let go of what you've been holding so tightly and instead place your hand over your heart and hear it whisper, "I deserve more than this." Aries, you're used to fighting. You are the sign of beginnings, of bold action, of passion that doesn't wait. But maybe the bravest thing you've ever done is not to keep going, but to stop forcing, to stop trying to control everything the way you think it should be. Because when you cling to something that's sinking, you go down with it. But when you let go, you suddenly realize you still know how to swim, and the shore was closer than you thought. There's a saying, what you resist persists, what you embrace dissolves. The more you fight it, the longer it stays. The moment you accept it, it starts to fade gently. That's how the universe works. And that truth is the key to attracting what's actually meant for you. When you stop holding onto relationships that only exist out of habit, when you stop shrinking yourself just to keep the peace, something powerful happens. You start noticing people you never noticed before. You meet someone, and without trying, you feel seen. You enter a new space, and without performing, you feel respected. A new frequency starts to hum from within you, and you begin attracting things that truly match your soul. No more hugs that make you feel lonely. No more conversations where you silence yourself to keep it going. No more "I love you" said just to make you stay, but never backed by the safety your heart craves. The old begins to dissolve, softly, like morning mist when the sun rises. And this isn't just a personal journey, it's a collective one. Out there, millions of people are stuck in expired relationships. They don't know how to let go. They're afraid to be alone, afraid of being left behind. But if you, an Aries with your fierce, blazing fire, can rise, can choose light over fear, then you become a lighthouse for others still lost at sea. Remember this line, the one that makes people cry quietly at night. Sometimes you're clinging to a raft, not realizing the shore is already near. That raft once saved you, but it's not what's meant to carry you forward. The shore is there. You just haven't dared to look. And when you do truly look, you'll see not just the shore, but a forest, a field, a whole new land where you no longer have to merely survive, but where you can finally live, and live fully. And then, when the real reason behind everything finally shows up, everything will make sense. Because when one final door closes, you'll realize the other door had always been open. There comes a moment after all the tug-of-war inside your chest, after asking the same questions over and over, when you finally sit down. Maybe it's on a quiet afternoon or a long, silent night, and you let out a breath, a soft, unshaken sigh. No more blame, no more regret, just a feeling of gratitude. Gratitude that they left, gratitude that you let go, gratitude that somehow you made it through what once felt impossible to survive. Aries, do you know something? Many people I've met say the same thing after they come through to the other side. I cried when I left, but I cried even more when I finally understood. And what brought those tears wasn't the pain of loss anymore, but the overwhelming truth that was revealed, a truth they never would have known if they hadn't been brave enough to walk away. Maybe it was a secret exposed, or a truth that was never spoken, but suddenly screamed through their actions. Maybe it was an opportunity that had always been blocked by that connection, or maybe it was someone new, someone who arrived in the right way at the right time, and suddenly you understand. Love isn't what you were fighting to hold on to. Love is what finally lets you be yourself. You'll realize you didn't lose anything. You weren't robbed. You were returned to yourself. And in that exact moment, you'll feel clearer than ever that God or the universe or the divine force you believe in never left you. They were rewriting your story, silently, tenderly, masterfully. You can't see the clear sky while you're still inside the storm. But after the clouds break, after the rain stops, the sun filters through the leaves, and you start to notice the details again, your own smile in the mirror, the dreams you once abandoned, the spark in the eyes of someone you never thought you'd meet. Aries, beloved fire starter, you are the first flame, the pioneer, the spark of the new. Let your light guide not only yourself, but those still stumbling in the dark. Never doubt the power of what you've just overcome. It didn't weaken you, it deepened you. You've become slower, wiser, and more aware. You don't rush into connections just to fill the silence. Now, you wait, you choose, you say no, and that. Aries is a superpower. Soon you'll begin to attract different things, different people, not because you changed them, but because you've changed your frequency. You're more honest now, more free, and somehow you'll be more loved, not with loud words, but with steady presence. People will come into your life not to take, but to stay. And if you're in the middle of that messy in-between, where nothing is certain yet, keep going, keep believing, because light always wins, true love always arrives, and you are always being led. Trust the wisdom of the universe. Let the flame of Aries guide your path, even if no one sees it, even if no one understands. That light still burns quietly, and one day it will blaze again, brighter than ever. Thank you for listening with your heart. And may you, Aries, fierce, tender, and unstoppable, always be surrounded by the kind of love that multiplies your light, never dims it. You deserve a journey that is real, loving, and whole.